Howdy kids, and welcome back to another episode of the E46 Drift build. On the last episode, so that was episode 3, we're up to episode 4 now. Last episode I welded the diff and removed the old diff and then realized that I had the wrong size diff. So I had bought a diff out of a 4-cylinder, which was out of a 318, and mine is a 323 with the 6-cylinder, which has a bigger diff in it. So I was doing some measurements of it, and it all was just all basically the one that's in my car is bigger than the one that I bought. So I got really sad and upset and thought that I wouldn't be able to fit it up, because I measured across the axles, and the width of that for the 323 was 270 mil, and the one on the 318 is 260 mil. So 10 mil difference, 5 mil either side. And also where the pinion is, or where the driveshaft flange is, that is also about 25 mil shorter on the 318. So I thought it can't fit up, it's just not going to work. I even measured the axles to see if I had pulled the axles out and put the axles in, if the ones on the 323 were fatter than the ones on the 318, but the ones on the 318 were actually fatter than the ones on the 323. So I was like, well, that's going to make it even shorter in width across the lot. So I packed it up and went and did some research, and to get a 3.9 diff, which is what I want to put in, I have to get it out of a X3, but the X3 that I have to get it out of is I think a 6-cylinder one or a diesel one. So again, it's bigger in size and it's the right one. It actually is the same diff as the E46 that I've got, so the 323. But then I started reading on this forum, and somebody had put a smaller X3 diff into a 330i E46, and I was looking at the photos of the one that he put in, and it's actually the same size as the 318 that I bought. And he swapped out the driveshaft flanges, which I have to do anyway because they're wider in diameter, so the driveshaft can bolt on. And also he said that there's a slip joint in the tail shaft where he could just get an extra inch out of it and bolt it up. So I came into the shed and did some measurements, and this is what I found. So if I place 2 flat edges on the output gears, or the drive shaft, output shafts, whatever you want to call them, and then I take a measurement from the inside of them. Not sure if you can see that coming up on the screen there, but that's 270 mil. If I held something straight up against the input flange there and measure it from the mounting surface to there, that is 83 mil. Now I've got the diff, which is the one out of the 318, so it's the 3.91 ratio, and I do the same thing, and I measure from across here. That's 259 mil. And then I do the same thing with the input flange. That's 60 mil. Or 61 mil. So as you could see in those clips, the the diff that came out, it's about 10 mil wider, so 5 mil either side. And then from the diff mount to the input shaft flange, or the drive shaft flange, is about 24 mil longer. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap out the drive shafts, or the output shafts, from the 323 diff and put them inside the 318 diff, and I'll show you what happens when you do that. Okay, so this is the one out of the 323, and this is the one out of the 318. You can probably see on camera automatically that this is a lot bigger than this one, and when I put it up to here, you can see how it's just a lot smaller. Also, the bolt holes are smaller in the 318 than the 323, but what is the same is the length of here to the lock collar on the shaft. So if I go like this, these are the same. So that means that when I put the 323 shaft into the 318 diff, it's actually going to finish there, which, as you can see, is making it longer. So even though from in here to here is shorter on the 323, I thought if I put this one in, it's just going to make it shorter again. But it's actually going to make it longer because of where the shaft goes in and stops. The only other thing that's different is these two covers. So that one there and that one there. As you can see on that one there, and that one there, it's different. This one is bigger, so it actually isn't going to seal that well. This outer one's not going to seal that well on the 318, but that inner one there, which is kind of the secondary, I guess, that is actually tied up against the housing of the diff. So that's going to stop, you know, any shit from going into the seal and stuffing the seal up, which it's, you know, it's going to be a drift car anyway, so there's not really that much, you know, apart from rubber or stones and stuff on the ground. We're not going through any like dirt roads or anything like that, so it's not going to be too bad on it. So yeah, basically I'm going to chuck this in and show you how it extends it out almost to the right size. Okay, so this is a 318 diff. This is the original, what do you call it? Drive shaft. And this is the drive shaft out of the 323. So as you can see, how that there isn't quite sealing. If you look at this one, it's quite a gap there, which I don't really think is going to bother, because as you can see right down in the hole there, that other secondary ring is touching the housing, so that's going to stop any shit from going into that seal there. Okay, so now I have both drive shafts from the 323 diff into the 318 diff. So that is 267. So as you saw in that clip, it was 267 with the 323 shafts fitted into the 318 diff. So it's only, you know, 2 to 3 mil difference. Now the drive shafts that go, you know, the actual CV joints, they actually have a bit of play in them as well, so they can make up that little 1 to 2 mil either side, and I don't think that's going to be a problem there. It all bolts up to the same. It all bolts up to the same things. Like, all the mounting things are the same. The only things that are different now is that, you know, those couple of mil on the where the CVs bolt up to, and the drive shaft where it mounts at the front of the diff, it's about 24 mil short. But again, like I said at the start of the video, there's a slip joint inside or on the tail shaft, or the drive shaft, I should say, whatever, and you can gain that extra 24 mil or an inch because it's got a slip joint on it, and then it'll all marry up and meet up. And the reason I'm going to put the 318 diff in instead of trying to find another diff is because I've already paid 200 bucks for this diff, and to find an X3 diff, which with the 391 ratio, they're charging about $400 to $500 for a diff. And even though it's the same as an E46 323 diff, because it came out of an X3, which is, I guess, full drive, a more luxury model, they can charge more for that part, even though it's the same. So yeah, I'm just gonna chuck this one in it. If I have any problems with it, you know, with it, if it's gonna blow up because there's too much power in the car, which I don't think it is because it's a stock car, but maybe down the road, if I do any horsepower enhancements or whatever, I might have to change it out, but for now I reckon it's gonna be all right. So I'm gonna get putting the diff in the car. So remember that clunk in the rear end that I was talking to you about in the first episode? Well, figured out what it is.
See the top of the strut there? Big gap. I can't actually move it now, but it's actually loose. These nuts have come loose, so button it up. Actually back to normal.
Alrighty, got the diff in, both wheels are on. I'm going to leave it on the stand, spin up the wheels, and make sure there's no yucky noises. so something was making a bit of a grindy sound as I picked up the revs. It was alright at idle and slowly crept up the revs and then started making a bit of a funny grindy sound. So I'll have to suss that out. So super funny, it was actually the traction control making that noise. Cause like when it was making that noise going and I was trying to floor it, there was no revs. I was like, oh, what the hell? And then the traction control light was coming up on the dash. So I turned traction control light off and then the wheels just spun straight up. I'll show you. Nice! Alrighty folks, time to lower this thing off the stands and take it for a spin. So the ABS light and traction control light just stay on permanently now. I wonder if that's a normal thing when you weld your diff in your E46. Way more torque, yeah, I can feel it already. Heaps more poke. Doesn't like those 255s. They're way too big, I reckon. So far so good. Seems to be alright. I'm going to jack it up, check for oil leaks and stuff. And then I'm going to go and try and do a burnout when it gets dark. Alright, now I'm going to test the 3.9 diff. See if it helps the car to do a skid. It started raining a little bit, so that'll probably help the tyres spin up a little bit. So yeah, we'll see how these 255s go. So yeah, it's definitely much better with the 3.91 ratio. Definitely easier to spin the wheels. You can feel it even just normal driving. Heaps more torque. So yeah, but definitely those 255s are way too fat still. Gonna have to sort those out. So I'm looking for some 17-inch wheels, and I'm just gonna run, I think maybe 225s, just so there's less tread on the ground, just to make it a bit easier on the car, because it's obviously low powered, stock standard car. So yeah. That's about it, folks. So I'm going to end this video here. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to continue watching the rest of the build and stay up to date with all the episodes, consider subscribing. And yeah, hope you enjoyed and take it easy. Peace.